Hello, thank you for joining. This is Jay with Life Changes, and I appreciate you for being here to watch another episode about astrology, but not just astrology. I like to take different people's charts and analyze them, but not just the chart itself. A lot of times it's a specific event in the person's life because I like to time events. I think it's fascinating. So today's episode is about none other than Kim Kardashian. This is another person that's kind of hard not to know already who Kim Kardashian is. A lot of us became familiar with her. Well, I was going to say we became familiar with her through her reality show, but a lot of us know that is not how we became familiar with her. It was actually a little known little tape that got out. But after that tape got out, she started a reality show with her family, her sisters and her mother and her stepfather. So that is how she was introduced to households all over the country, and how her popularity grew, her family's popularity grew, and she has amassed her fortune from there. So I wanted to talk about her fortune specifically. Yes, there's the reality show deals, that's part of it, but I wanted to delve actually into her starting the company SKIMS. For those of you that don't know, she does have a company, SKIMS, like underwear for women. And that was the source of an increase for her in terms of money. So I wanted to look into that and see what's going on in her chart when she started that. And maybe you can look in your chart, you might see something similar or something opposite. And it's just a learning opportunity for how she ended up with that particular company and prospering from that. So officially she started SKIMS September 10th 2019, or at least that's when I guess you could say it became available to the public. And so I went back to her chart and I looked into that. I looked at the progressions, and that means pulling up her progress chart for that particular date, and I also looked at her solar return chart. So what I saw when it came to progressions, first I saw that the Mars in her birth chart received several progressed aspects. And by the way, her Mars is in the 12th house. It's in the 12th house and it rules the 5th house in her birth chart. But her natal Mars received aspects from her progressed Sun, progressed Jupiter, and progressed Saturn. Now, so for those of you that have watched some of my other videos, you may have heard me mention that I'm not a fan of the 12th house. It's not that it's not an important house. It's just a mysterious house. It's not my favorite house to try to analyze and understand what's going on. But it's not always a silent house. It feels silent or mysterious sometimes, but it's not always that case. And for her to have Mars there, to me, especially for it to be so active when she started this company SKIMS, for her, I think the reason why that is the case is because her Mars is in the decadent for Jupiter. And so just to briefly explain what I'm referring to, each sign has 3 weeks. There's 3 weeks, right? And each week under a sign has a different, I call it a sub-ruler, but it's like another planetary ruler. And so her Mars is in Sagittarius, and it's at the beginning of Sagittarius within the first 10 degrees. So the planetary ruler is Jupiter, right? So the ruler of the Mars in Sag is Jupiter, and then also that little sub-ruler, the decadent, is also Jupiter. Her Jupiter is in her 10th house, very close to her midheaven or MC. So that explains why her natal Mars was so active at the time in terms of receiving a lot of progressed aspects, because it has a lot to do with her her career and her businesses. So it's in the 10th house, and it's kind of like looped in together with her career, and also I would say her physical presence, because Jupiter, she is a rising Sagittarius. So Jupiter also rules her ascendant. And so those of us that are familiar with Kim Kardashian, she, outside of the tape, she's also well known for how she looks. And so that's letting you know that her looks and her physical appearance play a lot into her career, her businesses, and her way to, I guess, excel throughout her career is how she looked. And so that's pretty much, that makes sense, given that she had founded a company on like intimate wear or women's wear, which has to do with how it's going to make you look in your clothes. So that fits to me. So first thing I noticed is that natal Mars was had a lot of aspects from her progressed chart. That's number one. Number two, I noticed that she had her progressed ascendant sextiling her natal Mercury, and it also trine her natal Venus. So to me, this relates to the ascendant and midheaven rule that I mentioned. I've never seen this anywhere, but it's something that I noticed for a lot of people who are really successful. And so what this means is when these two, the ascendant and midheaven, when these two are connected by angle, planetary rulers are planets in those houses, they tend to reference work that goes beyond the regular 9 to 5. And so what I mean is a lot of times people will end up doing things that are entrepreneurial. And for her, Mercury is the ruler of her midheaven because her midheaven is in Virgo. And Mercury is the planet that rules the sign Virgo. And so here she had her natal Mercury sextiling her progressed AC. So that creates that connection between the ascendant and midheaven that I think assisted her in being able to launch this business at that particular time. Okay. And then natal Venus is in her natal 9th house, which rules expansion. And that's another thing. I don't mention this as much because everybody doesn't have planets in their 9th house. But I noticed two things about people that do have planets in their 9th house. Either they travel a lot, or there's somehow a tie to travel, or that it is common for them to excel in business, because the 9th house is associated to travel or foreign places, but it's also can be associated to like big goals and bigger type businesses. And so the level of what Kim probably wanted to do with SKIMS fits for Venus to be there. And then of course the prototype for Venus, or the description for Venus, has to do with looks and beauty and stuff like that. And so SKIMS is about trying to help you women be beautiful, to make themselves more beautiful, something that could be like a beauty trick, if you will, to make themselves look better in their clothes. So that makes sense as well. And it rules her 6th house, which has to do with work as well as health. And it also rules her 11th house, which is another money house. And that has to do with money from your career. So she had those ties between Mercury and Venus. And then, last but not least, I noticed that she had her solar return midheaven conjunct her natal AC. Now, I don't mention this a lot because I don't know that this always is linked to starting a business. I think in some cases it can be, or in some cases it may just be about someone having a particular focus on their career that year. But I think she did also have a focus, but also this may have been another tip of the hat for business ownership. And all a focus on her career and business for that year in general. So she probably been gathering steam to go ahead and get that started, because starting a business, you don't do that overnight. It takes some time to get everything prepared, and then you're started, and then you have to work through the kinks of whatever's going on, and then fix those kinks, and then just so that hopefully that you can keep the business moving and make it profitable. So she was pretty much tailored to go ahead and do this in that particular time at September 10th, 2019. So again, there's a lot of places I could go with Kim Kardashian. Obviously, I chose to just pick that because I wanted to concentrate on money and people that have a lot of net worth, and where in their life, in that juncture, what juncture did they hit a point to where now they hit this stride and they have an opportunity to make a lot of money. And this was one of them for her. I'm sure there was probably some things earlier after the tape, when the reality show started. I think I did take a brief look at that, but I thought this was interesting. And given that she was specifically starting a company, I thought that this was a good place to go. In the future, I may do another episode on Kim. Never know. You can just keep a lookout for that. But for now, that's all I have for you on Kim. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you next time.